Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to an NBA Finals edition of Double Take. My name is Alex Safey, here with my brother, Johnny Boy, Johnny Rockets, not Jonathan. John, what is happening?
Another NBA Finals. The Celtics are finally back after a long time. Last time they were here was 2010. And, maybe they'll make a point. They got a young team, so maybe they'll finally be relevant for the first time since the 1960s.
Yeah,
exactly. But you know what? We're going to save the Celtics slander. We got our emotions out on the last pod.
I won't, John.
Okay,
just for the record.
We'll see. And but we're going to take off our Miami Heat fan hats on this one. I mean, as much as we can. And we're going to try and, be unbiased and just give some NBA analysis.
Yeah.
So...
Well, yeah, we will be doing that. Of course, we're going to be giving our picks. We're going to talk about some X factors for the series, X's and O's. And, of course, we will get into some legacy talk. Legacy for the players on the court. Maybe even if one of these teams wins, what will that mean for other players in the NBA or in NBA history, right?
So, Durant.
Yeah, exactly. So, but first, I do want to start, John, with some storylines, okay? So, clearly going in right now, we have this young Boston Celtics team. They just got over the hump, and overall, even for their franchise, right? They made the finals in 2008. They won it that year. Made it in 2010. Lost in Game 7 in LA. Make it back 2 years. Make it back to the conference finals 2 years later. Lose to LeBron, D-Wade, Bosh Heat team in 2012, and then with this kind of iteration, even though there's been a lot of moving parts, they lose in the conference finals in 2017, 2018, and 2020. Really, the only year that I think they even had a shot at winning any of those was 2020, but even so. So this year was really their year. Like, if they didn't get it done this year, if that Max Strus 3 counts, which it should have, if Jimmy makes that shot, then it's actually kind of crazy and it's kind of wild. And it would have been a colossal disappointment for them. But in any case, let's not get off target. Then you have on the other side this veteran Warriors club. They've made 6 finals in 8 years, which is actually really crazy, John, especially when you think about it like this. 5 years straight they make it, whether they had Durant, whether they didn't have him, they still made it. 5 straight years. Then those next 2 seasons, they were pretty much in the lottery, and then last year they were in the play-in game, lost to the Grizzlies. So really, those 2 years they were in limbo without Klay Thompson. When they've had Klay, obviously Steph and Draymond, I think those are the first 2 most valuable players. But when they've had those guys as well as Klay Thompson, that they've made the finals, right? Yeah. And in every healthy season they've done it. And Klay's only played, I think, half the season this year. So it's actually pretty wild to think about. And I know my perspective on it is the West wasn't that strong this year, so it is kind of interesting that they were able to make it out. But it certainly matters. So I don't know. What do you think about those two conflicting kind of paths to the finals? You have a team who it took so long for them to get here, they finally made it, and then we had a team who's kind of always here, and they kind of just made it back for the first time.
Yeah, I think I can't state this enough. I am taking off Miami Heat hat because I feel like in this episode, just based on my pick and how things are going to go, I'm going to be the one more so kind of disrespecting the Warriors, even more than the Celtics. So, you know what? Here, I'm going to give the Celtics some love. I think you have to to me, it's looking at both of the teams' builds, right? I think there was a lot of the old-time fans, maybe some of those old-school NBA fans who were saying, look at LeBron jumping on the Heat bandwagon, and he couldn't win, so he just left. He didn't stay with Cleveland and win. Of course, he went back and he won with them. Look at Kevin Durant. This is me. Kevin Durant couldn't win, so he hopped on the Golden State wagon. But I think if you look at these 2 teams right now, it really is you have to respect both of the builds, right? Steph, Klay, Draymond, all drafted. That's their core there. Yeah. Jordan Poole, right? And, 6-man for the Warriors, also drafted. Of course, you have a few, and they drafted Kevon Looney, too. So then you look at, Wiggins, they traded for him, whatever. Same thing, you have to respect the Celtics build and looking at what they did, right? They traded away Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. And it's insane to think about this. And what do they get in return for it? The picks that let them to draft the number 3 pick because of how bad the Nets were in those years. The number 3 picks in the drafts that let them draft Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, the 2 wings that they put together. And I think what we're seeing the league go in the direction of is you need good wings to win. And maybe that's to spoil my pick. That is why I'm going with the Celtics. We're going to get to that in a bit. But to me, the biggest storyline, and this has been talked about, but I think it needs to be the number one thing that's talked about before anything else is how bad the Celtics were in the middle of the season, right? And
I think they were 18-21.
Right, and it was not even like a big move they made. There were a couple games under 500. They were the 11th seed in January, okay? The 11th in the Eastern Conference. And they just made an absolute huge turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of talk about, remember, John, it was like, oh, they need a point guard. They obviously have so much talent from their wings. They have Tatum, they have Brown, but it's like, all right, who's their point guard? Oh, they could have had Lonzo. Oh, like, they need a guy like DeJounte Murray, whoever it was, or Chris Paul, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Marcus Smart he turned things around.
I wouldn't even give him as much of the credit.
Well, you got to give most of the credit to Ime Udoka, and he finally got through whatever happened, and then their defense really turns up. Because their defense, there's no way about it. Their defense is why they're so good.
To me, it's the defense mixed with just all the guys together. Yes, it ended up being Smart, who was the point guard, who's been there all along. He's his 8th season with the Celtics. But to me, it's more so when they traded away Josh Richardson and Dennis Schroeder, things also just change. And sometimes it's just about personnel and the right fit and the right players. And, of course, Derek White also came. You know, he's been streaky as a shooter, but he's also been a nice piece.
Well, I mean,
defensively.
He really hurt us. You hurt us.
Yeah, and he torched us a couple of games. But, I mean, even just looking back, Alex, we went to a game. And of course, you know, it was the game where we had like Bam and like Caleb Martin started and Gabe Vincent, and you know we were basically missing like 4 of our starters. PJ was out, Jimmy Butler was out. We're missing 4 of our starters, and we get killed. And we're walking out, and the Celtics fans are chirping us, and we're going, "Are you guys really talking? Like we can't hear you down there from the playing game." Because at that point the Celtics were the 10 seed, right? And I think this game was January 30th. Okay. So January 30th, we're talking like this, talking trash. We're like, you guys are the 10 seed. And I remember, you know, of course, we've talked a lot about, you know, our friends who are Celtics fans on our pod. And I remember just feeling like, oh, yeah, like 2020, it was us versus them. We beat them. You know, last season, both of us got swept in the first round, right? And I remember saying, you know, this year, we clearly have the upper hand on them. Even if we lose in the second round of the playoffs, there's no way they're going to come back from this. And how the heck did they do it? Yeah. They ended up getting the 2 seed, and of course we know how the conference finals went, and they beat the Bucks. That was I mean, how about this? They took the hardest path there. No one can say there wasn't a harder path. It was the Nets and Kevin Durant and Kyrie in the first round. The second round they had the Bucks obviously and Giannis, and then now third round super tough 7-game series with the Heat. So they had the toughest path there, and now if they beat the Warriors, I think. Because we can get into the legacy points later, but this will be a huge win if they can pull this off. So,
absolutely huge for them to come through. And then obviously with the Warriors, they're back, and I think this is really going to be a fun matchup, a clash of styles, a clash of experience versus no experience, a clash versus a team that's been there. And even though the Warriors are a team, John, that we have both kind of talked about as they don't always show up in the big games. Steph Curry isn't the best finals player ever, right? And especially when they had Durant, it didn't even feel like it mattered who showed up or not because they were just so, they were too talented to lose. And now it's like, well, let's see. Are Steph, Clay, and Drake kind of going to feel this comfort of like, oh, we've been here before. This is easy. Whereas you have a Celtics team that is, to just put it, blatantly, they're not a very quote-unquote clutch team, right? I don't think of them as a clutch team. And even Kurt Goldsberry just the other day posted a little shot chart of Tatum, which is from the whole season. I don't know if this includes the postseason or not, but in clutch time, he was 2 for 25 from 3-point range, 13 turnovers, 7 assists only.
Right.
And the Celtics during the regular season they ranked 29th in the league in clutch time winning percentage. So anytime the score was within 5 points of the final 5 minutes, they just could not do anything on offense. And which they did also have, I think the highest point differential this season, which meant they were probably blowing teams out most of the time. But when it was clutch or when it was close, they couldn't win. And we even saw it on display Game 7 against Miami, against a team who seemed like everyone was struggling except for 2 guys, and somehow they still blew it, even though they're up 13 with 3.5 minutes left. Right?
Minutes.
So I think, John, if we want that can kind of lead us in to our title picks. I'll give a quick preface though. So. Also factoring, that clutch, the clutch aspect, and then the rest, right? You have the rest element, which is the Warriors have basically had a week of rest since they closed out the Mavericks, and the Celtics have had, I believe, 3 or 4 days, if we want to include today, 4 days, right? Which for them will be huge. They just played back-to-back 7-game series, but for a team that like the Warriors that is older, they haven't had a tough path to the finals. getting a week of rest will be really good. And this Celtics team, like, I don't know. I'm sure those 3 days will make a big difference for them, for guys like Marcus Smart and Rob Williams. But, maybe we can lead in. So for the picks, John, I think the reason that I am not going to pick the Celtics is because of that factor. And I know that right now the Warriors are slightly favored, but then I'm seeing other things like ESPN's BPI. The Celtics have an 86% chance to win the finals, like whatever that means, right? The advanced statistics have loved the Celtics for a long time, and I thought it was BS, and I guess they were right all along, right? But it reminds me of in 2012 when the Heat go to the finals versus Oklahoma City, and OKC was the younger team. It was their first time getting there, and the Heat had just lost the year before, but we had been there before, and it seemed like everyone was picking OKC. OKC was slightly favored. I think it's similar to that. I think Golden State is the veteran team. They've been there before. I trust them more. Even though Steph Curry, like I said, not the best NBA Finals guy, he's still only one of 5 players to ever have a career Finals average of 25, 5, and 5, along with LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, and Jerry West. So he's also, he's never been terrible in the finals. And if there's ever going to be a year where he shows up and he's just like, I'm the guy, I'm better than everyone, it should be this year. So I'm going to pick the Warriors for that reason. Just like, we ended up seeing the Heat end up beating the young, inexperienced OKC team. Yes, this Boston team, they're very talented, but I don't trust them to close because ultimately, unless they're blowing out the Warriors every game, which that's something that I don't anticipate happening. Could it happen? Maybe. I don't anticipate that happening. Then I think that it's going to come down to clutch play. And while neither team I feel great about in the clutch time, I'm still going to go with the team that's more experienced, has Steph Curry, and things like that.
I said after Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals, I said the winner of this game is going to, before the game actually, I said the winner of this game is going to go on to win the finals. And I did believe that. And I told you this. I said on the last pod. Once the Bucks and the Suns got knocked out, I actually, for the first time, visualized Jimmy holding the finals MVP. And I wasn't able to do that back in 2020 just because I didn't think we were going to beat LeBron. That was much more of a long shot. This year, it was within our reach, of course. And to me, I'm gonna stick with that pick. I'm picking the Celtics in 6. If it goes 7, I think to me I was in between Warriors in 7 or Celtics in 6. And ultimately, back to ask your point, the ESPN BPI, whatever, the Basketball Power Index or whatever, 80% chance to the Celtics. Okay, that's pretty crazy. Let's look at 538. 79% chance. To 21% chance for the Warriors. 79 though for the Celtics.
So what was the first one?
ESPN.
No, the first. Oh, ESPN is 8. The one I said 86.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you have.
And now 538, 79%. And then there is
what about the Ringer?
The Ringer has an NBA odds machine measured. They use point differential. They have a different, which they said has been a historically strong predictor of future success. They adjust for different wrinkles like injuries and schedules and different probabilities and whatnot. I don't know what it is, but their postseason odds, they give the Celtics a 61%. Okay. So to me, that's obviously a little more reserved. I would say if they're accounting, I think because this one says that they're accounting for injuries and schedules and whatnot. If they're accounting for that, to me, that's the biggest thing I was worried about. The Celtics just ran through a tough 3 rounds, okay? Obviously, they swept the Nets, but those games were the closest in that series, according to point differential. If you look at the point differential,
Wait, closest? You mean in the first round?
In the first round, right? Even though they swept, those games were closer.
Yeah.
Then they have a super tough 7-game series where they really were getting banged up. Giannis, imagine all the times he just drops his shoulder and is jamming it into Grant Williams and Jason Tatum and Al Horford and all these guys who are they're just absorbing that, okay? They get past it in 7. They went down 3-2 in that series. Then they have the Heat series, similarly, down 1-0, down 2-1. They come back, they're up 3-2. Jimmy has the insane Game 6, and now they have to pull out, this close one where they almost choked it away in the end in Game 7 in Miami, okay?
And I think it's notable pointing out, like a guy like Al Horford, an older veteran guy, he has looked much better at the beginning of the playoffs than he has right now. And we'll see about the rest. And of course, you have Marcus Smart, Williams. They're banged up, right?
Look no further than Game 7. Every time Al Horford shot, I was like, oh my God, thank God. He same thing at the end of the Bucks series. He just had no lift on his shot.
Yeah. So then talking about all this, why is it that you're picking them?
Yeah. So the reason I'm still picking them is because since Game 3 of the Bucks series, the
The Celtics have played every other day. Okay, game 3, they had a day in between. Then game 4, then a day. Then game 5, 6, 7. Then game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the Heat series. Okay, they've only had one day off in between. They have Rob Williams out for a game here, and Marcus Smart out for a game there, and now this guy's questionable. Whatever. Derek White missed the game because of the birth of his child. Right. Yeah. So they've been in and out. All this. The Celtics are gonna benefit so much from having these 4 days off. Okay, so they played game 7 on Sunday. They had Monday,
it's really Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, I know, and I'm assuming they traveled. I mean, my question is, did they travel straight from Miami to Golden State? I want to say they would have gone straight to San Francisco.
I would guess they went home, but
the reason I would say they wouldn't is because all right, you're going to travel from Miami to Boston, then Boston to San Francisco. Like to me,
question. I never
that's
thought about that.
sketchy. But so the way that Game 1 versus Miami was a scheduled loss, just because of the fact that. Again, they had no
bullshit.
No. Listen, they had.
I don't care.
No, listen. They played Sunday night or Sunday during the day, Game 7. Then you have to fly to Miami from Boston, and you have a day off. Monday travel across the country, and now you go straight Tuesday night. And they didn't play Smart, and they didn't play Horford because of COVID. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that game, I think they knew they were gonna listen. It was kind of like us with Game 4. They were gonna try and get it if they could, but they weren't gonna they weren't gonna risk it all because it's the only one game in the series. So look at what the Warriors, the path they've had. It's been pretty it's been very monotone almost. Nothing has gotten too high, nothing has gotten too low. They've just kind of been chugging along.
The Warriors are one of the teams that I've watched the least throughout the playoffs.
Right,
because
nothing's
been too compelling in my opinion.
I watched the first 2 games versus Ja Morant. Incredible. I thought that was going to be one of the best series. That one and the Celtics-Bucks series. And, of course, Ja gets hurt. Didn't end up being that. But to me, the Warriors, it was you're up 3-0 on the in the first round against the Jokic team. The team had Jokic and no other guys. Then you go up 3-1 against the next round because Ja Morant got hurt, and they got absolutely destroyed in Game 5. And I think it just shows how kind of complacent. We're gonna win this series. Mm-hmm. And then of course same thing. That the Mavericks team really just started shooting horribly. Who really pulled off an upset that they, probably we're gonna look back and forever and say how the heck did they win that Game 7 against Phoenix? So I'm just looking at these 2 teams and I'm saying, all right, the Warriors are well rested, but those 4 days off really helped the Celtics, and I think they've been coming into these games versus the Bucks versus the Heat, and they pulled out both those series in 7, and they did it with, again, only pretty much 1 day of rest since that Game 3 versus the Bucks in between. So to me, they're gonna have 4 days off. Then you know what? It's the NBA Finals. Usually series take place over the course of 2 weeks. This series is over the course of 3 weeks. So to me, that alone is if you ask me at full strength, to me, it's yes. There's a reason that
there's a lot of
there's a reason the advanced statistics
2 days in between.
Right. No, it's every game they have 2 days in between, except in between games 3 and 4. I think there's 1 day. So every time they're gonna have 2 days off. That's gonna be huge for them. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's at full strength, I'm taking the bigger team. Why? Because I think their size is gonna annoy the Warriors in a way that the Warriors can't play to their strengths small the way the Celtics can big. What I mean by that is the Celtics' strengths defense is going to help them defend the Warriors, who have the better offense. The Warriors' offense, while it's going to be great, the Celtics have a better shot of stopping them on offense than the Warriors, in my opinion, do stopping the Celtics' offense on defense. Just because Steph Curry and Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson, there's going to be lineups when all 3 of them are out there. Yeah. Okay, you're going to want to do that at certain points in the game. And when you do, which of those guys is going to guard Brown and guard Tatum, or even Derek White? All right, you put Steph Curry on Derek White. To me, the way that Jimmy Butler was hunting the matchups against the Celtics, he found Pritchard, he found Derek White, he found the players to switch onto so that he could just go dominate them and had 41, 47, 35. He had a bunch of great games. Yeah. The Celtics are going to be able to do that by hunting Steph Curry, by hunting Jordan Poole, and Klay Thompson, who looks like he's got his offense back in streaks because he didn't have the best Mavericks series against the Mavericks until that final game. He had 8 3-pointers in Game 5. But to me, his legs are still not right. He's only been back for not even a full season yet. So to me, Celtics are going to hunt, and I think they're going to get it because they're well rested. They're back at full strength, in my opinion.
Well, but if the rest, it's not that they're well rested. Okay, they still have to go through all those. They had 2 7-game series, and now they have just gotten relatively more rest. That does not mean they're well rested. Okay, the Warriors are going to
comparatively, yes, they're well rested. That's what I'm saying.
To what they used to be.
Exactly. My point.
Okay, and you're thinking that's going to make.
So wait, let me ask you this then. If it was a quick turnaround, you wouldn't pick them.
If game one was, I think they're going to win game one.
Yeah, so I think
they're going to win tonight.
I think for the reason that you're saying that they're rested, I think the Warriors have actually benefited from even more rest than that.
Right.
And at the end of the day, John, as much rest as you can get, it's not like they're, suddenly back to 100%. They did have to fight Giannis for 7 games. They did have to fight the Miami Heat for 7 games. And I think you're picking the Celtics because you think they're the bigger team, right? It's a classic offense versus defense. And you're saying, oh, Tatum will be able to hunt, Well, guess what? At the end of the day, while the Warriors are not the defensive team that Milwaukee was, they're not the defensive team that Miami was, they're not a bad defensive team by any means. And I will just bank off of, I guess then I think if you're making that statement, then you're really confident in the Celtics defense ability to slow down Curry, Thompson, Poole, et cetera, et cetera.
And we can get to that with Steph.
And I think that's really what it comes down to. It's the offense versus the defense. The Warriors offense versus the Celtics defense. And what are they going to do? So maybe right now, John, actually, let me give you my...
Explain how are the Warriors going to win? Who's the finals MVP? Who plays well?
I think Steph will be the finals MVP. I mean, I think it goes without saying. If Steph plays the way he did in 2016, I don't think the Warriors will win. I would say they still have a chance because I could see the other guys going off. So, if Marcus Smart just goes off and is proves to us that he should have been the defensive player of the year and he completely slows down Steph, gives Steph hell, the way we saw, other players do that, Dellavedova, Tony Allen, whoever. It's another iteration of that.
And he's only older now.
Then, exactly. So, I would say he's better. But if it's going to be that,
he's better now?
He's better. He's better in this type of series. So, if that's the case, then you're right. I don't think that they'll stand a chance. However, I am begging on Steph Curry to get his first Finals MVP trophy. And maybe this is the time to talk about X Factors, John. X Factors, I think it's going to be a big series for Klay Thompson and Jaylen Brown. If Jaylen Brown outplays Klay Thompson, I think there's a strong chance to the Boston Celtics win. Because I guess at this point, I'm confident enough in Steph Curry and in Jason Tatum. I think those guys, for how great they are, they should show up in this series.
I'm pretty shocked that you're saying that.
Why?
I'm shocked that you actually think there's a shot that Klay Thompson can outplay Jaylen Brown in the series.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow. If you're telling... All right,
to
so
me,
that's a small
chance.
Let's rank the players in the series right now, then.
Okay. Let's do a little draft.
Okay.
Who's number one?
Steph. It's Steph.
All right, Tatum.
3.
Dude. Come on.
I think it's between Brown and Klay, but no. I think Brown is a lesser version of Klay, in my opinion.
Bro, are you kidding?
Brown is better on defense. I might lean. I guess okay.
Klay is a shooter.
I would lean Brown because he's better defensively than Klay is right now. Yeah, Klay's a shooter.
Klay is just shooting, bro.
What is Brown?
Brown actually okay. Obviously, he when he dribbles,
Can he dribble?
When he dribbles it, he coughs it up. But to me, just from age alone and consistency in the playoffs, Jaylen Brown is a better player. And whatever.
What?
I say that.
Consistency in the playoffs?
Yes.
Are you joking?
Yeah, you acknowledged. You have not watched a lot of Warriors. Even if you look at straight box scores, Alex,
okay,
you can see
Klay Thompson is
inconsistent.
If you're box score watching, Klay Thompson every series has a game where he wins in the game.
Exactly, he has won, and now this is easily the best team they've played.
Okay.
Easily. Okay, so am I saying if he's good enough to get you a game versus the horrible, Nuggets and the team, the Mavericks that have shot horribly, and again the Grizzlies in Game 6, he finally got them without Ja Morant. To me, against the Celtics,
don't act like the Grizzlies on defense. The Grizzlies are a good defense,
right? And they gave the Warriors trouble defensively because they have a lot of good perimeter defenders. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that's what the Celtics' strength is too. They got Smart, they got Brown, they got Tatum. They're gonna give them hell on defense as well. So what I'm saying here is,
I
say all that, and also
but in a finals round,
I have $18 on Klay Thompson to win Finals MVP. 18 to win 234.
That's just silly.
I have 18 on Klay. I have 12 on Draymond Green, and I have 10 on Wiggins and 10 on Poole.
That is
because to me, if they win, there's totally a shot. There's totally a world in which Draymond Green wins the MVP. And it's funny because Shannon Sharp,
I don't agree at all.
Skip and Shannon were debating this the other day on FS1, and Shannon goes, Skip, there's about 10 people who vote for Finals MVP. 7 of them have already submitted their ballots for Steph Curry. Because I think everyone right now, it's just the storyline is Steph finally going to get his Finals MVP? And once we pivot to that, I can start poo-pooing all over Steph for not having a Finals
we'll get
MVP.
to that. But I think the point is, John, I think that's a matchup that's important. And so, yeah, this is me saying, if Jaylen Brown outplays Klay Thompson, I think, assuming that Steph and Tatum, play to their caliber, then I think that's a series for the Boston Celtics. I think that's it. But I don't anticipate that. I do think that your first finals round, it's not easy to just show up. And we even saw, like Devin Booker, he came in last year, and it was his first finals round, and he was playing in his first playoffs. He was doing all this stuff. And then suddenly, what happened? The team that I think had overall more experience was able to, outplay.
The team that also had more size.
Yes, that's true. But, so, I guess Clay versus Jalen, this will be a good thing to return to. Do you have any other X factors for this series?
We could talk about Steph, and this is before we can get into his legacy, but to me, it's like, look at his performances in the finals, right? 2015, the Cavaliers don't have Kevin Love, and they don't have Kyrie Irving. And Love, obviously, at that point, Love wasn't as good defensively as Tristan Thompson was. So
and Dellavedova was better defensively than
but
Kyrie.
No one's going to sit here and say they would prefer to have Dellavedova over Kyrie Irving. So don't even try and
No,
go
but
there.
if we're talking about defense, because I'm
Defense,
assuming
yes.
you're talking about
but it doesn't
Steph
matter.
Curry didn't
Overall
play.
impact on the game, Kyrie Irving would have a much
right.
better
And how does
winning impact on the Cleveland Cavaliers.
And
So
how
to
does
me,
how does that impact the way Steph Curry plays?
I'll explain. Well, to me, I'll explain. I was gonna say if Kyrie Irving plays, that championship is LeBron's.
Okay.
They're winning 2015. So there's Steph's team.
Why does it even matter?
They literally the voters did not know who to give the MVP to, so they just gave it to the guy that allowed LeBron James to average 35 points in that finals. 35, he had 35, 12, and 7 or some insane stat line, okay? And they give it to Andre Iguodala. That's an atrocity. And people are gonna look back and say, "Oh, Steph should have had it." No. Listen, in the moment,
I actually do think, I think if you're going to give it to someone in the Warriors, it still should have been
when
Steph.
it was most fresh in everyone's brain, what did they do? They gave it to Andre Iguodala, who had 22 points in the game out close 6. Okay? They didn't want to give it to Steph Curry. Okay? So the voters, then and there, they knew legacies were on the line. Steph Curry already had his breakout year. He was the MVP of the league. Okay? And they said, you know what? This guy just wasn't good enough. We're going to give it to the role player. Okay, we're going to give it to the guy.
Do you want to know what wasn't good enough was?
They were going to give it to the guy who came off the bench all season long.
Wasn't good enough was 26 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals nearly at 1.8, and 38 from the field. 38% from 3-point range and 44 from field goal. That's a very good series.
What? All the voters had a vendetta against Steph?
No, my point is
LeBron James got more votes
Let me
than
give you. I can't give you the argument. Which just is, we don't have to get too much in the weeds here. But quickly, it's that people were used to seeing him at that MVP level. Those stats are relatively the same as his regular season. His efficiency did go down, but his points went up.
But to me, the point is that 2015 finals. To me, it's not an impressive win. It's not an impressive win when you beat a team without their second and third best player, and LeBron James is doing what he did, and they need to attach your third string point guard, where Matthew Dellavedova, some guy no one had heard of. They need to, he needed an IV after Game 3 when the Cavs go up 2-1. Do you remember that? Okay, so. They ran out of gas. What happened was that series was awesome, right? Like Game 1, the Warriors win. There was a close game. Kyrie got injured right at the end. They go into overtime, and Shumpert missed a shot at the buzzer, whatever. They go into overtime. Then Cavs steal Game 2. Like, it was fun in the beginning, and then the last 3 games, the Warriors pretty much just coasted and pretty much blew them out in the last 3 games. Okay, so my point was that's the first one. 2016. What does Steph do in the finals? You're up 3-1, and you can't close out one game. And they lose, okay?
Well, I do want to remind you that in that game 5, do you remember how many points Steph had?
Which Game 5?
Game 5 of the 2015 finals. After they end up tying it in Game 4, they tie the series 2-2. In Game 5, he had 37, okay? So it's not like a guy who just disappeared in every single finals.
But he did in the first half of the series, and he was not good enough in their closeout game. Alex, that the 11 voters did not give Steph Curry. They did not give him a vote, or did he get one vote?
No, LeBron James didn't, and I don't.
Wait, I can pull it up right now.
Okay, well, anyway, that's kind of my point, though, John. In his first couple finals games of his career. Was he great? No. The first one, he had 26. That's not bad. Second one, only 19 points, right? Then he had 27 points. Then 22 in the game that they blew out the Cavs. And then 37. In the closeout game, he had 25 points on 42% shooting, right? So I think it comes down to he wasn't great by his own standards, and that's why they didn't give it to him. So you go 2016, he was obviously terrible. At the same time, I think there was clearly nagging injuries. 2017 and 2018, he was more than okay. And I think that's what it comes down to, John, is that especially for that first 2015 series, those were his first few finals games. That's what I'm anticipating with these Celtics, these young Celtics guys. So if Tatum and Brown come out and they just destroy the Warriors in the first couple games, you know what? Then I'll tip my hat. I'll be impressed, and I would say that they're going to be good for the next few years, and then maybe this is a young budding dynasty. Unfortunately for us,
no,
right?
I don't think so.
Giannis
is back, and he will be back. Don't even go there.
No, I'm going there if they come and they just destroy the Warriors. I would say I have to.
But to me, the Warriors The Warriors are not it's like, I don't even think they're that good. And people, that's the thing. We even talk about their 2015 teams, their 2016 team. That 2016 team won 73 games. They're a lot older now. And again, they're hurt now. Like, Klay Thompson is not the same. His legs are not the same. Defensively, he's not the same. Offensively, I agree. He's gotten there, but he's not the same guy that he was. So to me, but they got Poole now, but now we're relying on two small guards to carry the offensive load against the best defense in the league.
What do you mean? Steph and
Poole.
So throw Steph out. Oh, really? Yeah. You're going to say that Steph is a small guard. That's how you just dismiss him like that? He's Steph Curry, okay? Yeah,
my point is,
he's one of the first guys you'd want to carry an offensive load.
I would not in the NBA Finals. I would not.
One of the first guys.
I would rather have LeBron, Giannis, Luka. There's a lot of guys.
Would you rather have Tatum?
Steph is... I mean, Tatum on this team, yes. If it's Steph Curry on the Celtics, where he's got Smart with him, he's got Brown with him, he's got Horford and Rob Will, and if he's got that team...
Now you're changing the argument. It's about offense. We're not talking about surrounding him with defensive players, okay?
My point is... that's my point. You're asking a small guard against the best defense in the NBA, and then on the other end, though, he has to play defense too. So you're going to hide him on Marcus Smart. Okay, so now what? Is he never going to play with Poole?
Leave him?
Because now what's Poole going to do? You're going to put Poole on Jaylen Brown. You're going to put... I mean, I think you got to put Wiggins or Draymond on Tatum, obviously. I think Draymond probably ends up guarding Horford. Okay? Listen, I'm saying all this, and I'm getting to my point, is that Steph Curry, then in 2017 and 2018, those are easy championships.
Yeah, you're throwing them out.
Yeah,
which is okay. But wait, really quick, before you move on to 19... There's been this, kind of an argument going on social media, different talk shows and whatever about who is doubled more. I don't know, did you see this Kevin Durant respond? Draymond Green said that even when Kevin Durant was on their team in the playoffs, in the finals, Steph Curry was double teamed like 7 times more.
Yeah.
Because of what Steph does and what he brings to the table sets up more for everyone.
Right.
So even in those series, that's why he's
not playing with Kevin Durant.
He was shooting about 44. No, so I mean, but I'm gonna say that while it'd be crazy to say that Durant didn't bring any attention away from Curry, this defenses were still giving Curry everything that they could. Okay. So with that being said,
defense
still averaged around 20.
The 2018 Cavaliers, that defense, and the 2017 Cavaliers.
The 2017 team was a very, very good team. And the 2018 team, you're right, they weren't great, but defensively they weren't. There's a reason they still made it out to the finals,
because of LeBron James.
Yes, and they were good defensive players.
If you want to talk, we can't even actually have a realistic conversation about that team because it was Team USA. It was the Western All-Stars.
Okay, that's fine. All right, you just want to throw them out. My point is, Steph. At the end of the day, it's finals experience that Steph had. Okay.
No, it was not.
All right.
It was scrimmage experience that Steph had.
Okay.
I'm throwing it out. It's not experience.
What about 2019?
So that, to me, I said it. If he had won that one, boom, that is a heavy Finals MVP trophy that he would have earned. Why? Because Klay goes out, KD goes out, and they almost had pulled back. They almost forced that game 7. And Steph had that's his best playoff moment, his best NBA Finals moment. He had one of those games. He had 47 points.
Wait. So you're gonna tell me that you don't care about his stats in series where they lost, or no, excuse me, where they won because they were too good, and then you don't care about his stats.
2017 and 18,
but now you don't care about his stats in a series where they lost, because they lost. They weren't as good of a team, but his stats were still good.
I do.
He averaged 30 that series.
I do. He had that huge game. He had 47, huge, and they lost. Right, most points in the NBA Finals lost. Number 1, LeBron James, 51. Number 2, Steph Curry, 47. In that, what was it? That game 5? That
was game 3.
Or game 3. It was early on the series. Okay, so incredible. He played great in that series. That's his best Finals he's had. Okay, we're now 3 years later from that Finals. This year, he comes out in the first 10 games. The Warriors or whatever their record is 8-2 or 9-1. He's looking good. The Warriors are rolling. Is Steph Curry MVP? We want to give it to him. We want it to be Steph. We want him to have that comeback, and he's made it all the way back. But what happens throughout the season? He starts to slump by his standard, which are like high superhuman shooter standards because he is a superhuman shooter. So for that, I'm saying, is he gonna Have we had? I remember it was in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, and I remember Bill Simmons is sitting on his podcast. He's going, "Can we have one good Steph Curry game in the playoffs? Can we? This is a conversation that was had." So I'm saying Steph Curry so far to me I don't think he's gonna all of a sudden start averaging 30 in this series.
No,
against
I
this
agree with you.
defense.
He won't. But
to me,
I'm saying if he gives you his averages, which is 20, his finals averages are 26, I think 6 rebounds and 5 assists. If he gives you that. And that's why my X factor is Klay Thompson. If Klay Thompson can show up,
or Andrew Wiggins, because Wiggins had a great series against the Mavs, and Poole had a huge series against the Nuggets in round 1, right? So, and then of course Klay has a few games in between.
That's the point. They have a lot of offensive weapons, and clearly this would be the best defense that they have played in the finals. But this is also going to be the best offense by far that the Boston Celtics have played. Yes.
Well,
I mean, the only team that you could argue is the Nets. But the Nets is really 2 guys.
But even to me, it's partially it's similar to the Nets in terms of shooters. But of course, they had
a lineup of Kyrie,
I know,
Goran, Patty
and
Mills,
talked about it,
and all those small guys.
And maybe we can move on to legacy stuff now because we're already pretty much there.
Well, yeah. So let's move on to legacy. But I guess. Well, first, I don't think I give my exact. My pick will be Warriors in 6 games. Okay. And yours is what?
To me is Celtics in 6.
Celtics in 6. And if it goes 7, who are you picking?
If it goes 7, then I'm gonna say I would.
As of now, you would say.
As of now, I would say I can't trust that Jason Tatum in San Francisco is gonna lead their team to victory for their 3rd Game 7 in a row. That's where I'm hesitant. But I don't think it's going to even be that sort of series. I do think the Celtics go up 3-1.
Really?
I think the Celtics go up 3-1. I don't think this is 2-2.
All right.
So I think Celtics win tonight, Game 1. And of course, if I'm wrong,
I disagree. And I think
they're going to split the first 2.
They have to, for what you're saying to happen. Not even a 3-1. 3-1 absolutely. But if you're saying they're going to win in 6, I think they have to win Game 1.
They have to win.
I think the Warriors.
Well, it's one of 2 ways. I think they split the first 2. I'm saying Game 1. I'm going to say that's the Game 1 that they get. And then in Game 2, they come out. The Warriors are much more hungry. Just classic human nature. They're still at home. But I think Games 3 and 4, the Boston win. Boston wins 1. To me, one of those games will have to be close. I would be shocked if it's not. But I do think it's close in the way that Game 7 was close, where Boston kind of still controls most of the game. And I think they win both their home games.
This is also a Boston team that in their last 3 games, or actually if you want to go back even to the series before, but basically they lost 2 games in Boston to us. They lost 2 games in Boston to Milwaukee.
But they didn't lose. To me, it's also just the fact that, I don't know, the way that Jimmy and Giannis were getting buckets. Okay, so Giannis had 3 40-point games against them. Jimmy had, he had a 35 or a 47, 41, okay? And then, of course, the 3 games in between that he did nothing. But to me, the way that those 2 guys score is more conducive to how you're going to take out the Celtics defense or how you're gonna do it, right? The way they carry.
Dude, but that's
let me finish.
Bro. That's so
to me, if Steph Curry has 1 bad shooting game, boom, that's it.
No, you're wrong.
I'm saying that game is over. I'm saying that game.
No, yeah, I still disagree with you.
Okay, fine. You're right.
Dude, you have Klay Thompson.
I know.
You have,
if they get
how many heat check guys do they have,
right.
bro?
But
they have so many heat check guys.
But I'm just still saying, the way, as good as Golden State has looked, Alex, you have to take them down a few pegs from that because they're going up against the best defense in the NBA. That's my point. Defense wins championships. I'm picking the better defense.
All right, good.
I'm picking the better defense.
Good.
So to me, it's Celtics in 6. Again, if it goes 7, I won't abandon my pick. I just think it is important because for me, the point is the Celtics, and then I'm saying they're up 3-1. I think the Warriors win Game 5 in San Francisco. I wouldn't be shocked actually if the Celtics roll and win in 5. But my point is, they win Game 5, and now you go back to it's almost like the way the Lakers beat us.
They barely beat this Miami team that was so grand and dead.
Whoa,
dude,
are you gonna disrespect us?
No,
we would have beat this Warriors team, Alex. The Heat would have beaten the Warriors.
That might be true, but here's what I'm gonna say about Miami is the that we did not play to the way we had been.
For a few games in between, yes.
Even in Game 7, when it comes down to it, they won by really, maybe it was that game. I could argue that they maybe even shouldn't have won it. And what happened? Our players shot 6 for 30 from 3.
Right. And
we were a terrible shoot. We were the best 3-point shooting team all year.
But they're not.
And then we just fell apart.
But I'm still trusting what our defense was able to do against them. The way Oladipo in Game 3 had how many of his 4 steals? Same thing. Jimmy had 4 steals in Game 6. Like, to me, us defensively, who's doing that? Is Wiggins going to do that against Tatum and Brown?
Maybe.
I can see Wiggins doing
Gary
that
Payton
against
Jr.
Brown.
is going to play tonight. Probably.
Okay, so that's also huge. Him coming back is huge for them. So to me, it's all about Steve Kerr as a coach as well. Yes, of course, I think he's one. To me, it's Spo, and he's up there. Of course, Pop, obviously, in the Spurs. But so great coach, but still, to me, I'm taking the better defense. And the best argument for the Warriors that I'm afraid of is if we have a bunch of close games. Now, what happens? Because you're right. I do not trust this Celtics team. I don't trust Marcus Smart. Look at all the threes. Tatum was making the right decision. And I think the Warriors are going to be smart. They're going to look at how we defended him in games 5, 6, 7, and how he was just deferring. He passing the ball, making the right decision. And what happens when Marcus Smart's wide open on the wing? He missed him. But you know what? I'm sure Marcus Smart's going to hit him at least one of these games. Because he does. He's streaky. He'll have one game where he goes 4 for 8 from 3. Grant Williams, who knows? He'll pour in a few too.
He's not.
And to me, again, as deep as you could say the Warriors are offensively, I'm still taking the better defense.
Okay,
Celtics in 6.
Celtics in 6. I have Warriors in 6. I'll give you 2 X factors for the Warriors, and then we'll get into legacy quickly before we wrap up. X factor, I already said Klay Thompson. Another one, Kevon Looney. I think he's going to be big. He's been pretty good this playoffs. I think obviously his hands full against Al Horford and Rob Williams. What is he going to do? Is he going to be a non-factor? Are they going to completely cancel him out, or is he going to have a big series? I think he's another X factor. So why don't you go through just 2?
So yeah, to me, I think what are you getting from a guy like Derek White off the bench? That's also huge, right? Because Boston in some of these games, right, is Peyton Pritchard going to play? You have a series where Pritchard, again, against the Bucks, he helped close out that series, game 7, right? I think it was 4 3-pointers, right? Grant Williams, again, he also had 8 3-pointers. Absolutely, just had an insane game for a role player. Are you going to get the games like that? I think you get them at home, but to me, is Derek White, again, the same way. He had, I think, 22 points in, I want to say it was Game 5 against the Heat, right? So he just killed us from the start. I think he started off 5 for 5.
I think the last few games he was torching us.
To me, those guys for Boston, because, again, we think Tatum will show up. I think, we'll see how they play him. Again, if they take a step out of our book, right, and say, all right, we're going to double team him, let's make these other guys beat us. That's where it gets where I'm like, okay, that's the best chance they're gonna have. But I'm still saying, I'm still taking the fact that I'm trusting if the Warriors defense shows up and slows down Boston, I'm saying Boston's defense is gonna do that even more so against. Again, yes, I'm calling Steph a short guy. He's a shorter guy. As great as he is, though, to me, I'm not trusting. I'm not going to just rely at all on Poole and Klay will be there if Steph is not there.
I think you're just very much sleeping on the Warriors on both sides. But in any case, why don't we jump to legacy quick before we wrap up the show, John? Steph Curry has played in 5 NBA Finals, and he has not won in a Finals MVP ever in the 3 that they won. And he's on a short list of players that have multiple MVPs, multiple scoring titles, and multiple championships. I think there's 4 players. I think it's Jordan, Wilt, one more player I can't remember, and then Steph. But he's the only one of them that does not have a Finals MVP. Right. So even if you look, Pantheon guys, right? Top 12, top 15, wherever you have Curry. I think I have Curry around 13 on my list. He's also the only guy to not have a Finals MVP. So if he wins this ring, which would now... He'd have one before Durant came, he'd have those 2 with Durant, and he'd have 1 after Durant, which is over a span of 7 years. This is really, really big, in my opinion, John. It's no joke to do that. And to have that in the Finals MVP, too, he might be top 10. Bro. He might be, in my opinion, he's definitely going to jump from, 13?
I want to be quick.
Where do you have him on your list?
So I have to go, but I want to be quick on Steph before we start pooping on KD. To me, Steph, again, I told you how. To me... None of he has 3 championships. Somehow he has 3 championships, and I really don't hold a lot of respect for any of them. God. To me, 17 and 18, we both agree, Alex.
You're so silly.
Alex, imagine this. Imagine they run it back after losing 2016, they don't get KD, and then he wins in 17. I think
I bet money. I would have bet money the day after Game 7 of that 2016
I
finals
would've
that
too.
they were gonna win it.
And
They
how
were,
much?
they were.
How much more impressive is that one?
It doesn't. You can't do that. You can't say, "Oh, well, because it didn't happen this way." It would have been. At the end of the day, he has 3 championships, and if you're not gonna give him any credit for them, then you're stupid. It's different to talk about Durant because Durant did hop on a team that won already titles already, and
No,
at
they
the end of the day,
won.
their record,
Again, I also
their
think
record,
the Cavs win
their
if their
record-
second or third best player are healthy there.
their record without Durant versus without Curry proved that Curry was what made that team go.
Bro,
no
I
matter
know
how good
Steph
Durant
Curry
was.
is a regular season MVP. He's the
my
only
God.
unanimous MVP. I know that. I'm talking about playoffs right now. Okay. He's got the Magic Johnson Trophy now.
You're
All
just
right, we're talking about the
discrediting
playoffs. Okay, we're talking about the playoffs. So yes, to me, if Steph wins this one, massive for his legacy. This is his first, to me, championship where I'm like, boom, you did it, Steph. You're the because like you said, he will be the Finals MVP if they win, right? You're saying
Dude,
that.
there's so many like bums basically who have Finals MVP trophies.
Who?
Like
Andre
Iguodala,
Iguodala,
like
yeah.
like Dennis Johnson wasn't like the best player. Like there's guys who won Finals MVPs and it didn't matter. They still were the best player on their team.
To me, that's
okay?
an indictment.
Steph Curry
Guess
is
what?
the best player
when
on his
James
team.
Worthy as the third guy on that team. When he wins the Finals MVP to me, it's okay. Magic had 3 of them. Kareem had 1, and Worthy got 1. So to me, it's like
It's still
there's a
silly,
difference
'cause
there.
Go look at Magic's
When Steph
averages.
Curry-
He was averaging like 20 and
But
11
to me, my
or
point is
something.
when Steph Curry has won 4 championships, is he really a top 10 all-time player? If 3 of the times they won in the championship, it wasn't because of him. You know what I'm saying?
That's so silly. In
But to me-
2015, it wasn't because of him that they won the championship.
no, it was.
If
but
you
to
take
me,
Steph
it's-
Curry out of off any of those teams, they don't win the championship.
Listen, and maybe this is because I'm a LeBron guy, but to me, when I look at the 2015 title, I don't say, wow, Steph Curry, he
No.
did this, he put the team on his back and they won it, like Magic,
But
like
they
Bird,
won, is
like
the
Tim
ma-
Duncan,
the fact
like
of the matter is
LeBron,
they
like
won it.
MJ. No, to me, they won it, but again, they coasted to it because why? That Cleveland team ran out of gas because they were playing 7 guys. Okay.
John, at the end of the day, there's no way that you can deny Steph Curry in 2015 was the best team. Was the best player on that team. In 2017 and 18, he was most important. And I would argue that if you take Steph Curry off of 2017 or 2018,
Throw away
they don't
17
win.
and 18, bro.
No, it
Throw
doesn't
those
matter.
away.
If you take him off that team, they don't win the championship.
You're wrong.
I'm
You
not-
swap him for another point guard, they're gonna win that one.
2017, they don't win. Absolutely. 2018, I'll say fine.
They're loaded, bro. They were loaded. To me, those champ. That's my point. Is
2017
It doesn't matter.
Cavs are
It
good.
doesn't matter. Like the fact, Alex. This is the point. You're
You're
like,
tripping.
we would have picked them to win 2017 if they didn't have KD. But to me, it doesn't matter. That's my whole point with Kevin Durant. Now we can get to him. Is my point with Durant is like he could have come back and won one with OKC, and that one would have been. And that's the thing.
I
is-
agree.
And like when like people like our friends.
But
like
wait, let me ask you
Eli-
this: do you think he would have
Do I think he would have won one with
OKC if he ran it back the next year in 2017?
The next
or
year,
2018?
I don't know. I'm saying he could have.
No. Do you think he would have?
This
Yes
is
or
my
no. Yes or no. Yes or no.
No, I'm not gonna.
So
sit
okay,
here
and
pick. I don't know.
I think that is a
I
difference.
would.
'Cause the
I would
difference
say
is
the Cavs are there. The Warriors are.
the way that the Warriors were and how good they were. If they come back the next year without Durant, I think they win. I think it's like I definitely would have thought they would. And I would be
Okay.
shocked they didn't. OKC running back the next year with Durant.
Why is that relevant?
Because
It's
the point
different.
is, my point
Westbrook
is,
was on that
Steph
team.
Curry.
That's why I don't know if I wanna
Steph
pick
Curry
him.
translates to winning. Kevin Durant does not.
No,
That's a difference. Don't put them
I
in the
disagree.
same. Don't put them in the same.
What I'll say is, I agree because now we can shit on Durant here, but I would still say. People are saying, "Oh, look at Durant, 7-footer. He can shoot. He has it all offensively. He was pretty good defensively. Like once he started, later in his career, he started getting better defensively. Like, oh my God, he's so amazing. He's top 10 all time. And people start throwing that around loosely. Top 10 all time. To me, it's like, okay, you're top 10 all time. Then why did you need to jump on this bandwagon to win? And so similar to my point with
I mean,
Steph.
this is so different from Steph. It's like completely
No,
different from Steph.
to me,
It's so crazy.
To me, it's
when you
similar. Is
compare
that these two guys winning their championships together? To me, is like to me, LeBron James' legacy is better from 2018 than either KD or Steph's.
I agree.
So to me, it's
I
like
agree. He's LeBron.
And LeBron James
and
lost.
LeBron is also,
He got
in our
swept.
opinion, he's either
Swept
number
in
1 or number 2
2018.
all time. Steph Curry, in my opinion, is 13. Durant is closer to 20. Okay.
All right. Why don't we get to KD because I have to go. In 2
Well,
minutes.
coming into these playoffs, Sean, I really was hoping the Miami Heat would win it all. I also would have been. It would have been nice to see CP3 win one with the Suns if I wasn't gonna have to see my Heat win. And after that, I think one of those next teams that I was like, you know what? Also Giannis, I did want Giannis to win. I was like, the Warriors, because if the Warriors win, it actually will just. I don't think my opinion changes about Durant. I've already thought what I've thought, and I've said it. And it's He beat LeBron in 2 straight final series, and somehow, for most people, it really didn't mean anything, which means he clearly messed up, in my opinion, or there's something that didn't add up, right? So now, when you look at this, it's just going to reaffirm what I've already said. I mean, the fact that the Warriors have made the finals, it already says enough. If they win it, it's even more. It's like you join a team that could win it without you before and after, you know? And so what did you really do? And I mean, I think it's not really going to change our opinion too much, but at least it's more ammunition for us against our friends like Eli. Really, I think Eli might be the only person that I hear will still stand up for the right.
I've said it, and I'll say it again. KD is he's a better version of Carmelo Anthony, okay? So.
I think you said that initially and it was like trolling, but like, it is fun.
Carmelo's going to win in 2017 and 18.
Yeah.
He's going to win. So to me, Durant...
He's probably not the best player in that series.
Durant has 0 rings.
He's not the best player in that series. So Durant's definitely better than Melo. But legacy-wise, I would say, he should be.
To me...
Like, it's crazy that we were putting him in top... That people say he's top 10.
Durant's rings to me are irrelevant. And again, Alex, to me, it doesn't matter that you say Steph could have done it. Like, they don't win without... To me, the point is, it doesn't matter because he hasn't been Finals MVP. Because in 17 and in 18...
You put too much weight into Finals MVP, though.
To me, I put weight in the fact that he has never been the undisputed, the number 1 guy on the team that won.
That's not true.
He wasn't. There was never... He's never had a Finals moment... Okay, then I gotta go. He's never had a Finals moment where it was like, they won the championship... Steph Curry, here you go. Like, that's my point. That's what the Finals MVP represents. That's why I put so much weight on it.
It's too much weight because, like,
Robert Horry has 7 rings. Why don't we say it for him?
No,
because he doesn't have any Finals MVPs, Alex.
Do not compare Robert Horry.
I'm using extreme to explain my point.
Ridiculous extreme.
No, it's not.
If you think that Andre Iguodala, here's the difference. You take Andre Iguodala off the 2015 Cavs. They probably still, 2015 Warriors. They probably still win that series. If you take away Curry,
I don't know. I mean, according to
the
11 voters didn't think so.
Let me ask you this: who has a better chance of winning, the 2015 Warriors without Steph Curry, or the 2015 Warriors without Andre Iguodala? It's an easy answer, John.
I mean,
so that's why you're being ridiculous.
Want to know why it doesn't matter? Because you're dealing in hypotheticals right now. Did he show up? Not enough.
He did show up.
Not enough for the 11. Not enough for the 11 voters, Alex. 11 people.
Yeah.
To not vote for him.
Do you really want to go and talk about the voters and they picked Marcus Smart to be Defensive Player of the Year? They didn't even have Bam top 3. They picked there's a million.
When you're talking about them, it's different when it's a full 82 game season award versus they watched those 6 games of that series.
They're still the same voters. They're still not the most. They're not perfect.
They did not want to give Steph the Finals MVP.
Okay.
So to me, yes, it's actually a huge indictment on his legacy that he has not won one yet.
So silly of you.
Because to me, I said it. To me, this will easily surpass all of his other rings.
It was supposed to be, we're supposed to be shitting on Durant. I just want to keep bringing it back. I guess this episode is more just like the Steph Curry episode. But in any case, John, I don't know. I know you have to run. You have your Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
But just to sum it up, I got the Warriors in 6. John's got the Celtics in 6. I'm siding with Curry. John thinks that. Well, actually, let me just really quick before we do wrap. What do you think? What do you expect from Curry in this finals?
If he plays super well with Marcus Smart hounding him, I'm gonna say he did it. Like, there you go.
So you're not gonna do any Smart's hobbled, Smart's injured, like.
You think I'm gonna do that?
Because Smart is coming off an injury. He's not.
I mean, 100%. Okay. If we'll see what happens. If what we see with our eyes is like Smart is clearly not himself, but I'm saying I'm expecting this Celtics team to be looking at their best. You know, Robert Williams looked horrible in Game 7.
Right.
I'm expecting these 4 days did a lot for him. Same with Smart. Same with Horford. I'm expecting these guys to come out, and I'm sure there'll be a game where they shoot horribly. I'm sure there'll be a game where the Celtics just have an awful offensive game. But I'm still picking them to win.
Who's going to win the Finals MVP?
Jason Tatum.
Okay, and I got Steph Curry. All right, well, there you have it. This has been our final NBA Finals preview. I think, John, it's actually only our second time we've ever covered the Finals. We did the 2020 bubble ones last year.
Coming live from San Francisco. Yeah. Double Take is covering the Finals.
But in any case, it's been a good one. Thank you all for listening. Go Heat.
Go Heat. Heat in 7.